What is going on, Babylonians? It's me, Songs of Rage, back with another Outriders worldslayer video to bring to you, and today we are looking at how to backhand anyone that gets in your way, and that even includes Big Daddy Arbiter. It's far from the quickest build in the game to do so, but it can take a punch and send it right back where it came from, which definitely hits the fun factor for me. This is going to be the Devastator Concussioners set build. Now before we get any further, make sure you have dropped a like and a subscribe on the video, it really helps the channel out. And did you know that only 19% of you watching are currently subbed to the channel? It's completely free to do so and keep you up to date with all Outriders content to come for the channel. And lastly, Babylon is partnered with Player Ammo, so for your gaming energy needs, head yourself over there and use code BABBLE for 10% off of your order. With that all out of the way, let's get right into it. So as always, we like to look at the gear requirements first and then break the rest of the build down around it. So weapons wise, you'll want to grab yourself a typical AP build stat stick and grab a couple of mods to be able to help you out. What I mean by this is to be able to attain a gun with Armour Pierce as its first stat, and then an Apocalypse mod to help you out. So the best three mods to use for this build will be Mage's Rage, Anomaly Enhancement, and Death, as these will be able to give you the best boost possible and feed back into other stats. Now you can get away with using Fortress, but as it doesn't affect baseline stats outside of armor for this build, and then just adds a flat damage increase, it's not the most ideal. But with our build, we are using Mage's Rage in combination with Anomaly Enhancement to get the best benefit we can stats-wise for the melee. Now alternatively, Death and Anomaly Enhancement would be a great and similar combo, but if you can roll with Mage's Enhancement and Death, you're onto a winner. The reason we need these is it will become a little bit more apparent as we look our way into the armor set, so we'll just leave that for the time being. As for weapons to use, Air to the Desert, which I am using here, is a great option to be able to have two of the above mods, as it gives great accuracy and base damage, but most likely you'll need to be able to get lucky with an epic to be able to have all three. So I'd rather aim for an AR or an SMG if possible, but seeing as it is a stat stick, so anything outside of a one-shot rifle or a scoped bolt action will do you just fine. Now let's have a move over our way to the armor pieces and then start working our way down. So with this build we are rocking the Concussioners set bonus, so we need a 3-piece minimum, which we decided on the helmet, chest and gloves. This gave us the best balance of attributes while also having the best mods options for the build, and on the helmet we've rolled Rockfall, Anomaly and Echo, and Tainted Blood. Tainted is there as a great damage multiplier, as the Devastator does deal bleed as standard on every single melee hit, so every subsequent melee will also be hitting that much harder with this on, or from our Pax Tree setup. Anomaly Echo is there as a stat booster for Mage's Rage and also for bonus firepower, which we will be covering shortly on the chest armor. And lastly is Rockfall, which recently did get fixed in the last patch to be able to proc correctly, and this mod is an absolute godsend, as not only does it inflict damage, but it also debuffs enemies for our follow-up melee attacks by 30%, so it's great for damage increases, has range potential, and acts as almost like a mini turret that floats around ourselves to be able to deal damage, and really just to be able to do the icing on the cake, it has splash potential due to the projectile's nature, allowing multiple enemies to be hit. All round, absolute top tier mod for this build. Now next we have the chest, and on this we run Magma Shelter, Perseverance and Last One Standing. Now Last One Standing is a dead mod and highly recommended that you do grind for a better chest piece. That comes with something like Captain Hunter or No Resistance Against the Fortified, as this will free up a slot down the line, but also allows your stat stick gun to be able to feed directly into your stats, as your Armor Pierce will be converted to Resistance Pierce, another stat we will be covering very shortly. Now Perseverance is a great tool for increasing the duration of Golem from a meager 8 seconds to a now 12 seconds, giving you more damage reduction time but also more rockfall time for the debuffs. And lastly we need to look at Magma Shelter. This is going to be the unsung hero of the build, because as standard, Devastators get a very cool looking spinning melee heavy attack when they sprint into their melee animation, and while it does look cool and it definitely gets top marks for that, it locks you into the animation for a long time where you can get hit and not be able to do anything about it. This is where Magma Shelter comes in, as it is able to work twofold as a way to be able to ignore that animation, and it also adds in additional damage to every single melee attack that you will be dealing. The Magma Shelter melee mechanic is much faster than that even of the default melee swing, and gets you ready to be able to go again, allowing you to be able to chain some fast melee strikes if you have ways to be able to reduce your melee cooldown. On top of this, it also deals damage in a radius rather than a standard melee's cone in front of you, allowing you to be able to hit targets that that are also behind yourself. And best of all, this damage scales on additional firepower, meaning the Concussioners set bonus having firepower as its top stat feeds into this, and any boost to anomaly power when we have an anomaly enhancement gun equipped will also do the same. Overall, this is one of the most key mods to be able to have in here, and when built around will reward you with some truly daft numbers. Next up we have the leg armour, and what I've done is I've opted for an epic pair to be able to give us more freedom within the trousers for Concussioners. Ideally you will want bonus anomaly power as this increases melee damage, but also then it also feeds into bonus firepower for magma shelter, so works twofold, but don't worry too much if you do just get bonus firepower, as this will still give you a big damage boost. As long as you don't roll with max HP, you will be benefiting. On these, we roll with Outtro, Reflect, Captain Hunter, and Golem Squad. Now, Captain Hunter is just an obvious choice to be able to help us take down those pesky elites that are in the field. Golem Squad offers an increased duration again for Golem for more rockfalls and damage protection, but also doubles up as a way to be able to support our team by casting it on them as well. And then lastly, Outtro Reflect is also a nice option in here, as it allows us to be able to use Reflect Bullets as a skill and not worry about losing our melee ability. This gives us much needed damage reduction in some areas that are heavy with riflemen and breachers like Boomtown or maybe even Frontline, but still allows damage to be able to pass through the shield to be able to store up damage with the Concussioner special ability to be able to hit those heavy melees. Alternatively, you can then mess about with some of the new mods for Reflect Bullets like Force Feedback and Equator to be able to help you deal some damage as you get up in their faces. I haven't gone this route with this current build, but I can see it being an option. I did mess about with it a little bit, but I decided against it for this current one. Now, finishing up with the three-piece of the Concussioners, we do have the Gauntlets offering Concussive Force, Martial Arts, and it did roll with Asunder as the Apocalypse mod, but this is a dead mod due to the skill choices, so consider it a free slot for something else. These two mods are relatively simple to explain, but are must-haves to be able to function, so Concussive Force gives us a damage boost and an increase to our melee range, feeding into our skill tree shortly, and Martial Arts will give us a hefty 50% melee cooldown reduction, so that we can use some fast chain melee strikes. Overall, it just gives us some very nice consistency and allows the build to be able to perform at the highest ability that it can do. And lastly, we have some epic boots, giving us the AP increases to feed into melee damage and bonus firepower for even more damage on top. Give Me More is a dead mod as we don't use Tremor, so once again consider a free slot. Arms and Anomaly is a huge AP boost for landing a single crit and works beautifully with Mage's Rage for big increases to stats. Unstoppable Force is a big part of our melee combo and will be our main snowballing effect in this build, allowing us to be able to keep hitting harder and harder the more we melee the same enemy. Increasing our AP by 50% of our resistance pierce stat means that we are about to pierce some skulls, and I've seen some big gains from this, but let's hold off until we get to the skill tree. Now, as for our skill choices, I've tried to go for defense and mobility so we can get around the battlefield, but also take a lot of punishment to become the ultimate tank. For our mobility, we went with Gravity Leap. And no armor mods means that this won't be hitting hard, but with any of the free slots, adding in something like Despair would be another way to be able to boost damage output on small grounds of enemies. For our defense, we went for Golem and Reflect Bullets, with the former giving us a big 65% damage reduction along with our utility mods, and Bullets just for bouncing back enemies too close for a stagger, or giving the Rifleman reasons to fear shooting us. These last two skills will also factor into our Pax Points, so keep this in mind when we get to them. So with our class tree, we have opted down for the bottom tree for boost to our melee and increases to our anomaly power and resistance pierce. But most notably, let's have a look at a couple of nodes. We have Paladin, which is going to be a big 45% anomaly power boost when we activate a skill. Strong Arm of the Law is also give us a big 100% melee damage increase, and protected by the anomaly for big armor increases which helps with survival and the scaling nature of Concussioners. Now the real winner here though is going to be Strong Arm of the Anomaly, giving us 15% resistance pierce for every single enemy that's hit by our melee for 10 seconds. This is the real way for us to be able to ramp up damage, as we now have an AoE melee on a quick cooldown, stacking up resistance pierce for our melee to do more damage through defenses, but with Unstoppable Force we now get 50% of each boost back as anomaly power, boosting up base damage of our melee, and then with the new AP boost we have from Anomaly Enhancement, taking 40% of that to be able to boost our firepower and boost Magma Shelter's damage to go on top of that for our melee increases. The too long didn't read of this means that the more enemies you hit as fast as you can, the more damage you'll be dealing, snowballing until there's no enemies left, or you're fighting the 10-second timer and stacks start to decay. Now, it's not unheard of that I have seen this the resistance pierce stat go over 200%. Obviously, this will depend on how many enemies you do have nearby to be able to hit with your melee ability, but it can be done, and that does mean that you will be getting over 100% anomaly power increase just from having that there. So the more enemies that you hit with your melee, the more anomaly power that you will be getting, meaning that more damage you will be doing on your subsequent strikes. Now from here we do go for our Pax Point choices, and this was slightly tricky as bottom tree would offer more pure damage, but we would have some dead points, but top tree offers a bit more utility and passive damage, so I did settle for that in the end. Now starting with hunting season for mag size and weapon damage, it just offers something for when we chip away to be able to stack up our Mage's Rage and our on crit AP boost, but overall it's just not really offering too much when it comes to the build. We did need this to be able to progress a little bit further. Now next is a personal choice, but I did choose Hardened for this one to be able to receive a little bit more defense, but an argument can be made for Harvester, so go with whatever takes your fancy because we need to be able to pick up one of these to be able to move on. And next is going to be Finishing Touch, which is, what, like I've already mentioned, we won't be primarily looking to be able to kill with our bullets, even though we can in this build. It is technically a dead mod for this, so going for Strange Surgeon allows our bullets to be able to inflict bleed, and then this feeds straight back into Tainted Blood right off the bat. So make sure to shoot between melees to get the maximum bonus where you can, and it also offers us a way to be able to get Golem and Reflect bullets back faster, as each close range kill of a bleeding enemy gives them 1.5 seconds of cooldown back, which is a nice touch. Now it doesn't specify that you have to get kills with your gun in close range, which means that you can use your melee to be able to get those kills to be able to then get your protection skills back faster, so that is very nice like complement when it comes to the build as well. And then lastly we have gone for Overwhelming Force, saying when Golem or Reflect is active, we release Seismic Impulses every 2 seconds for damage equal to 60% of our armor. Now our skill tree does a great job at increasing our armor, not just for the Concussioners set bonus, but also for the node, offering some nice passive damage to be able to help finish some groups off at a time. Now just around the build up we lastly have the Ascension Points, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I currently have set up, but then on the outpost image that's going to be at the end of the video, I've tried to show you through the use of like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of system to be able to show you what order you should prioritize them in. So however many Ascension Points that you do have, make sure you do follow that guide as well. Now, the main order to be able to follow would be going to be anomaly damage as your first 10 points, as melee is treated as anomaly damage in this game, and then from there you should go for something like Resistance Pierce to anomaly power before moving on to other branches. Other nodes of use would be something like Elite Damage, Armor Pierce, Weapon Damage, and Armor Stats, but I'll let the Outpost image show my order of the best 9 categories to be able to prioritize. Now as for alternative mods, anything to boost firepower or anomaly power is definitely going to be welcome. You have quite a few slots to be able to mess about with, so make sure you just choose a couple of selections from this to be able to prioritize and be able to personalize your build as well. So things like Kingslayer would be a great shout due to the massive increase to firepower, which will go back into your magma shelter. You do also have Danger Close, that's going to be because we'll always be in close range. Being able to stack up that anomaly power even further to then go into your firepower is a great choice as well. Power Assimilation is a great thing that you don't have to do anything to be able to get that bonus. You just got to worry about the fact that there's elites on the field, and then also Stare into the Barrel, because every single enemy is going to be in close range because you are going to be doing melee damage, so all these increases will help out with your magma shelter as well. Now tier 2 wise, what you can do is go for no resistance against the fortified. This will do some great kind of like, it'll help your stat stick to be able to feed into it in the first place, so you'll get your first initial melee doing quite well, and it will give you some more resistance pierce to be able to feed off of. You can also be, due to something that I want to be able to test out with this, is due to the insane stacking of resistance pierce, you can get some big numbers when you go for something like resistance piercer as well as Achilles heel, because these will be doing the exact same thing. And then lastly, you do have some tier 1 options when it comes to this, so you can go for something like Golem of Death, and this can work wonders, increase the duration as you keep killing, and it would be welcome for anyone that's using Death Renome to be able to try and keep Golem off of cooldown. And then you can also use Bleeding Impulse, will actually help you out with the Pax Trees for cooldowns, and then be able to help you trigger Tainted Blood damage boost a little bit easier as well. And there you go, that's it on the video. Let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on the melee only kind of playstyle, and would you swap to one if it became a little bit more offensive when it comes to trials down the line. It can definitely get work done, as you can see from the Arbiter clip that I've been showing in the background as well, but as you know, getting through to the first axe phase and finishing a +2 Arbiter is no small feat for most builds, but with all the strong builds that are out there right now, I can see why some people would be hesitant to try. What I will say is this is a lot of fun to be able to play. It won't have any issues when it comes to expos, but it will take a little bit of a hit in terms of efficiency when it does get to trials, but it can still do all of the content as well. There we go, so massive thank you for making your way to the end of the video. Massive thanks to the Babylonian family, as always, for their continued support. Their names appear at every single one of the video of ours. And if you're interested in supporting us too, the join button below is the best place to be. Make sure you have dropped a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. And that just leads me to say, keep yourself safe, keep yourselves well, and I'll see you all on our next video.